Alrighty, Logan. So, got your videos here. By the way, congratulations on making the team. I know your mom told me that you made the team this past week at trials. So, big congratulations. I know we talked about that. We're going to celebrate those type of successes, and every success that we kind of embark on throughout baseball, especially with you just recently starting. We're going to celebrate those successes, and specifically the more that you grow into a baseball player, and the more that you continue to develop and learn. We're going to continue to rather celebrate those and build off of those, because I think that's a big thing for you is especially with you just now coming into the game of baseball is, well, how do we build off of things? Because like we talked about last week, the biggest thing, or one of the big things about baseball rather, is about how do you build off each outing, right? Negative or positive. How do you take a negative outing and turn it into a positive one? If you have a positive outing, how do you keep riding that out? So I got your videos here. The top one is from last week, and the bottom one is from this past Monday. So rather, I just kind of wanted to showcase some things that we worked on in these past few lessons, and really kind of show the differences of when we first started to here we are now. So I'm going to let them play, and then we'll take a look at it. Okay, so first and foremost, the obvious one for us is the hands, right? So versus we get to a really great load point right here, right? We get to a really great load point versus if we take a look at the top, we're still low, right? Which at first was causing us to kind of really drop down and then having to uppercut the baseball, or just kind of come down to the baseball where we're like this, right? Versus on the bottom one, we do a lot better of a job getting to a load position and getting to the point that we can just go straight the baseball there, right? Now, the one thing we need to keep working on is how to properly drop our hand, or rather bring our hands through our swing and get a little bit of a rise to our swing, right? And that's something, like we talked about previously, that, we'll continue to work on and we'll continue to get better at and, really develop is how do we get to the correct bat path? And I think that's going to be something for you that, we're really going to work on going forward and, continue to build off of. So the hands were at a way better point. I would definitely like us to kind of stay right here. The one thing I notice is you're bringing this lead arm way, way back still, versus I really kind of want you to kind of keep yourself, if I were to draw, that's not a great line, but if I were to draw a line like right here, I really don't want your hands to go past that line, right? And, tomorrow when we're hitting, I'll kind of go into that a little bit more and really kind of showcase what I mean specifically by, we don't want to go past that line. So we'll work on that a little bit tomorrow. I do want to talk about briefly, let's see. So after I clear everything, then we get into, our bottom half here, right? We do in the top one, and I just want to show you this, right? The top one, you do a lot better of a job getting in this like 45-degree angle versus, we kind of revert back to going over our back knee, right? Because, like we talked about in our very first lesson, in order to go forward, we can't go 2 steps back, right? I can't go 2 steps back to go 1 step forward. So in order to do that, we really have to build off of that 45-degree angle, and kind of like you do in the top here, you do shift a little bit back, but you're a little bit better about getting into that 45, right? Versus in the bottom, you do a great job getting into your back knee. The problem is, though, you're still bringing your hip back, right? Versus we need to load our front side here, which is going to help us, number one, reduce our hip going back because we're not having to use that more, our backside to load rather than we use our front side to load a little bit better. So that's something I also want to point out, and we can work on a little bit tomorrow again. And then the last thing that I really want to talk about, we get to a really good finish point right here. You do a lot better of a job versus, first lesson right here where you're not as connected to the floor as right here. You're a lot more connected to, I'm just going to say the grass for this sake, or rather the mat, which is what we want. We don't really want to rise ourselves because, think about it. If you were going to, let's just say, you're at Top Golf and, you're trying to shoot a golf shot, where are you going to have more power from? If you raise your leg after, in the middle of shooting, or if you keep your leg down like that, right? If you keep it down on the mat. So that's something that, I did notice kind of looking through your videos a little bit ago, that I noticed that you're doing a great job of, and that you've really improved on doing. So keep up with that. Obviously, notice that we're still with our wrists, we're kind of flicking it. If I were to take a look at your wrist in this bottom one, right, you get to this point right here, right? But the problem is, notice that your wrist is almost like this, right? Which means and tells me that you're flicking it. So remember, we want to have a firm wrist whenever we're hitting. We don't want to flick it, because that's going to cause us to put our bat at the point of contact right there, which, notice, if I were to clear everything, my bat is like this rather than this, which is causing us to either be late on our flick, which is causing the ball to go this way, or we're pulling the ball because we're flicking too much. So obviously a few things to keep in mind there. You also do a lot better of a job with your finish on the bottom, versus you kind of just, you stay tall with your finish on the top one, and the bottom one, you do a lot better of job of getting into that athletic finish position. I definitely think we could still work on that going forward, and we could definitely work on that tomorrow. But just a few things just to kind of keep in mind, and so you can kind of see the difference of what we've done in this lesson versus when we first started, because I think that's something that's very important. Like I said in the beginning of this video, that we need to find ways of how can we build off of something. And I think, reverting back to, or rather not reverting back, but looking back to what we've done previously and taking a look at where we are now is a great way to do that, because we can kind of keep track and, keep a basis of, where have we improved on, what are some things that, I'm still doing that I need to be better at, and just overall things that, maybe you started off really good and, you kind of, regressed a little bit. And that's the whole reason why I do these videos, is that you can kind of see, why we do specific things and see how your body's performing, because at the end of the day, you could feel something completely different. But then whenever you look at the video here and you see, a completely different picture, that gives you a better sense of, okay, how's my body reacting? What is it looking like? So just a few things to keep in mind for tomorrow. We'll talk a little bit more about this tomorrow and just kind of go over it. But feel free, keep as many questions as you have, and, we'll go over tomorrow and I'll answer as many as I can. So, again, congratulations on making the team, man. That's awesome.